plan is today to use the 4-jaw chuck and the steady rest to hold this piece of stock for centering. The reason I'm not just putting it into the chuck and leaving it alone, trying to drill the end of it and do the turning on the chuck, is I don't have much engagement. The center bore on the chuck is smaller than the piece of stock. If the piece of material was small enough to go inside the headstock, I would just slide it in until I had about that much sticking out, center it up with a 4-jaw, face it, drill it, keep on going. But because it won't fit inside my little machine, I'm going to have to do the steady rest. Small bit of work, but needs to be done. Some of you guys have asked how to center something in a 4-jaw chuck. Well, it's kind of a guessing game, but you do it with measurements. Just looking at that, I can see it's not concentric. So what do? Best way to go at it is to use an indicator. 4-jaw works in 2 planes. With the jaws set horizontal here and vertical there, the only thing you really need to worry about is which point is highest. So what we're going to do is we're going to look for the highest point. Now, the highest point means the part of the stock that moves the needle around this way the furthest. See, I'm pulling on this pin and making that needle move. So I want to take it around to the point where that needle is moved the farthest, which is right there. That's at 60. But if you notice, it goes around to 60 and then around again. So we actually got 2 spins on the dial. So what I want to do is at this point, which happens to land between 2 jaws, I'm going to go to the horizontal point closest to it. Easiest for me to do it that way. Since this is the stock being pushed this way the farthest, I want to take this jaw and move it that way. So the easiest way for me to do that is to loosen the jaw on the opposite and then tighten the jaw on this side. And I'm going to be able to watch this dial come back. See? Now because I got the camera in here and I've got the indicator and everything else, I'm only able to do it a little bit at a time. But I want to take this until I've spun that dial almost a full turn. Have to move the camera back a little bit so that I can get the chuck loosened up. I'll bring it forward again. Hopefully we get the dial back into the shot. There we go. Alright, I've gone around a full turn. Now we'll spin it, see what happens. We're about a half turn off. Well, a little bit more than a half turn. Our surface isn't exactly perfectly smooth either. I've got scale on there. That's where it falls into a scale pit. That's another one. So I look for the high point again. And remember, that's the point where this needle comes that way the farthest. And it looks like it's right there. We're halfway between 2 jaws again. Then I'm going to go to the nearest one. which is right here. I'm going to loosen up the chuck. I'm going to move the camera again. And I turn it. About halfway. Okay. Bump the indicator. When you do that, you have to reset it. Just no way around it. You have to reset it. Better move out here a little bit so I got a little more room. It's not quite as accurate, but I won't be bumping the indicator. Okay, there's our high spot. Looks like I'm going to have to switch over to the other jaws. I'm wobbling. There, we've snugged it up. That's better. We're about 15 thousandths out of round. Okay, now we're at a high spot in between two jaws. Do I need to take it closer than 15 thousandths? Probably not. I went in about 15, counting for the pits. I don't think I'm going to get it much better than that. You can see the low spot there at that scale point. And we come around to another scale point, another low spot. Another scale point, another low spot. So I don't think I'm going to be able to center it up much better than that, considering the shape that this is in. Now we switch over and we go to the other end of the shaft. And this one works just a little bit differently because of the way the apparatus works. I can't center with a steady rest. Steady rest, all it does is it pinches the shaft. So whatever out around has got in the shaft, when I tighten up the steady rest on it, that's going to be it. Because I don't have a round surface to work with, I'm going to have a problem. Way to get around that is give it a bushing. Putting this piece of leather in there, instead of having the sharp points of the screws that the shaft is trying to ride against, it's going to have a bearing surface. Now that I can work with. We find the high spot right about here. I loosen this jaw. That lets the stock in the chuck move towards me. And I flip the chuck over and I tighten the opposite jaw. A little bit more. Loosen this jaw, flip it over, tighten that jaw. And that's about as close as I'm going to get it. This shaft is pretty beat up. I'm within 20 thousandths high to low, 25. I'm going to call it good enough, because finished turn on this is going to make the outside concentric anyways. For a rough turn, 25 thousandths is well within tolerance. So I'm going to poke a hole in the end of this.
Thanks for watching. Have you subscribed yet? If you enjoyed the video, please take a moment and click the thumbs up.